Today we meet Republican Jeff Bartos, the Pennsylvania Republican now running for the U.S. Senate. Bartos ran for lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania back in 2018. He lost in the general election to current Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman. Bartos wants to replace Republican Senator Pat Toomey. Toomey announced last year that he would not seek a third term in 2022. And it is already a crowded field of about 15 candidates in all, including Democrat Dr. Valerie Arkush, the chair of the Montgomery County Commissioners, Democrat John Fetterman, now Pennsylvania's lieutenant governor, Republican Sean Gale, Pennsylvania State Representative Democrat Malcolm Kenyatta, and Democrat John McGuigan. Joining us now, Republican Jeff Bartos. Thanks so much for being with us.
Tracy, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. I've watched you for many, many years. It's great to meet.
Thanks. So I just listed some of the candidates. It's a very big field. What will set you apart from all of these other candidates, do you think?
Well, Tracy, when the pandemic hit a year ago, like many of us, probably I'd say almost everyone, we were thinking about how we could help. And I looked around at all the small businesses that were struggling, that couldn't access federal funding, that couldn't access aid that was rolling out as it did. And I started a nonprofit with some other local leaders, and so certainly didn't do this myself, but I led the effort with a great group to help small businesses get back on their feet. And that small effort, which was really a grassroots effort, blossomed into a nonprofit that has raised $3.4 million and helped over 1,000 small business owners across the Commonwealth keep the lights on, keep jobs intact, help employees, help their families. And it really been, this remarkable outpouring of concern, neighbors for neighbors, and people having each other's backs at this terrible time. As part of our process, we talk to small business owners. Of course, we don't just send money. We want to talk to them. We want to see how we can help. We want to see how they are. And when you ask small business owners across Pennsylvania how they're doing, they feel betrayed by their government. They feel that no one's listening. They feel that the tables have been tilted, or the field has been stacked in favor of giant companies against small companies, really at the detriment of small companies. And so I heard that loud and clear, and by the 500th or 600th time I heard it, I knew that we were really fighting for something important. And when the Senate seat opened up, and when Senator Toomey announced he wasn't running again, I knew that fighting for Main Street, Pennsylvania, fighting for working families, fighting for the people who have poured their hopes and dreams into their businesses and fight every day for their own families and for their employees and their families, I had to continue this fight on to Washington as the next United States Senator from Pennsylvania.
Now, you've sought public office before. You talk about one of your opponents. You lost the lieutenant governor's race to John Fetterman back in 2018. Fetterman won a lot. You'll be up against him again. And I know you two have a friendly relationship.
Sure.
What makes you think you can beat him this time around? What are the big differences between the two?
Well, I think John and I are, of course, it's been well documented. John and Giselle are good friends of mine and Cheryl's, and we really got to know each other on that campaign. And the friendship was really cemented around the terrible tragedy, the massacre at the Tree of Life Synagogue, when John and I really came together at that terrible time. Really for all Pennsylvanians, within 10 days left in the campaign. But whoever the opponent is going to be, whoever the Democrat's going to be, they're going to have to answer for lockdowns and slow and really faulty rollout of the vaccine, and schools closed, businesses destroyed, dreams deferred, suicide, mental illness, depression, and really the tearing apart of our fabric here in Pennsylvania, not just in Pennsylvania, but around the country. But here in Pennsylvania specifically, the virus didn't do all this damage to us. Elected officials made decisions which tore our communities apart and tore families apart. And whoever the Democrat's running is going to have to answer for those decisions.
Fetterman was quoted as saying, you said well documented, that about you, he said, love the dude. How important will it be for you to be able to work with Democrats? I'm guessing it's an and, work with and criticize, as you just listed the ways that you can criticize what's already happened.
Yeah, I think I hearken back to an olden day, if you will, when we could, there's definitely philosophical differences, right? I am a conservative. I believe in small government. I believe in lower taxes. I believe in less regulation. I believe in the constitutional freedoms that are granted to us, not only in the document, but by God-given rights that are enumerated in the Constitution. But those are policy differences. Whoever is on the other side of the aisle, the Democrats, doesn't make them bad people. They have families and they have dreams and hopes as well. And so we're really, I think, to elevate the conversation, to talk about different policies and policy differences, and why the policies I'll be advocating for are better for the prosperity of all Pennsylvanians. That's why I'm doing this. I have no interest in tearing people down or pitting people against each other. I'm doing this to bring more prosperity to the Commonwealth I love, to defend the conservative principles I think that have made Pennsylvania really the light onto the nation, and the nation that it is the light onto the world. These are deeply held values of mine, but you can hold those values dearly. You can fight for them every day, and you can do it with respect, and you can do it with sincerity, and you can do it with great arguments without tearing apart people or pitting people against each other.
Back in 2018, you were on the ticket with gubernatorial candidate Scott Wagner. He was a strong supporter of then President Trump. Do you think that helps or hurts you?
I don't think, well, first of all, we've talked about this. I don't know if you and I talked about it, but I supported President Trump in 2016. I've supported President Trump in 2020. And I'll be fighting as a United States Senator for policies that bring prosperity and freedom and really hope to all Pennsylvanians. And so I think what we learned from President Trump's administration is that lower taxes, decreased regulation, a robust foreign policy that holds China accountable, that holds the Islamic Republic of Iran accountable, that defends America's interests abroad, protects the homeland. These are, I think, universal principles, principles that are worth fighting for, continue to fight for. Before the pandemic, we had the strongest economy that any of us had seen in our lifetimes. And these good policies, if implemented again, and I don't understand why President Biden wants to go away from that, but fine, that's his choice. But those good policies implemented again will lead to more prosperity, upward mobility for all people, and a strong economy that will help people reach the middle class, to help people educate their children and live the lives that they want to live.
If you win, how will you be different from Senator Toomey, do you think?
Well, I think Senator Toomey wasn't conservative on issues that I care deeply about. And what I mean by that is, I share Senator Toomey's focus on lower taxes and lower regulation and economic prosperity. But Senator Toomey was not true to his conservative principles on guns, on the Second Amendment. So I will be a staunch supporter and am a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment, and will defend the Second Amendment as written in the Constitution, and will not allow unconstitutional bills to pass through or be even brought to the floor of the United States Senate. And I think that's an area where Senator Toomey and I definitely differ. But also I want to focus again, for too many years, for generations, elected officials in Washington thought of Pennsylvania as two big cities and a lot of farmland in between. And we cannot go back to a time when the forgotten women and men in Pennsylvania were not served. And so I'm focused. The last year I've been fighting for all Pennsylvanians across all 67 counties. I'll continue that fight every day through the campaign. And if I'm fortunate enough to win as the next United States Senator, I'll be fighting every day for all Pennsylvanians.
Jeff Bartos, Republican candidate for Pennsylvania U.S. Senator. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Tracy, thank you so much for your time. Best to you and your family, and of course, best to all your listeners.